welcome back to my channel. I want to show you two different ways to make a little snowman. One a snowman gnome and one not a snowman gnome. Just leave the beard off, add a smiley face, and then you just have a snowman. Be sure and like and subscribe and ring that bell so you're notified when I have more videos. Thanks for watching. Okay, for this video, you're going to need some furry fleece, some regular fleece, some styrofoam balls, some cotton balls. You're going to need some Dollar Tree shoes, a couple of corks with holes in them, some string, some sticks, some pipe cleaner, some things for the buttons, the faux fur, and some decor. Okay, we're going to take our dowel rod and we are going to sharpen it so we can put it right through those styrofoam balls. We're just going to trim the bottom off so that we can make him stand. Now I trimmed it off a little bit right here, but I did go back after I put them together and I trimmed off a little bit more. Then go ahead and trim off a little bit off the bottom of this one because we're going to try to stack them. And this is going to be the head, and then we're going to attach it right there, cut the top part of the body off the same size as you did the head, and we are going to stick those together. Okay, just take your dowel rod, stick it through both of those styrofoam balls to make that hole, and then we're going to trim that off and we are going to attach them together. Then we're going to take a little bit of glue and we are going to attach our styrofoam balls to each other. Okay, then I went ahead and cut a little bit more off so it's almost like pretty flat. I'm going to show you. Like that flat. Then I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to fold it in half on the long side and I'm going to glue it together. And this is going to be our body. So make sure you get plenty of glue on there to hold that together. All right, once we got that glued together, we're going to go ahead and turn it right side out. And then we're going to take some embroidery floss or any kind of string that you have. It's something heavy. And we are just going to make a casing along the bottom because we are going to draw that up. Just go in and out, you know, every 1/4 of an inch all the way around until you have it at the end. And then we're going to draw that up. Okay, pull that closed and then we are going to tuck that in and we are going to tie that off. So you're tucking it to the inside of that tube. Okay, and then trim that off. We're going to go ahead and attach some glue to the bottom. And with it inside out, so turn it back inside out and then glue that to the bottom. And then pull that on down around it. And we're going to start building his body. And it does stand up good. If you try to stand it up when you just first do this and you think it's a little bit wobbly, once we put the shoes on it, the feet on him, it's really going to be sturdy. So don't worry too much if it's not sturdy right now, but it will be sturdy when we get the shoes put on. Okay, we're just going to take a string, and again, I'm using embroidery floss because I want it to be heavy duty. And I'm just going to tie that right through the middle, and then I'm just going to cut that string off. And then we're going to pull it on up to the top, stretch it up there real high. And then we are going to tie that off with a rubber band. And then we're going to tie that off with some string as well. And I made it a little bit longer on top so that you could just get a hold of it a little bit easier. Just tie that off with the same embroidery floss. And then we are going to trim that top part off, leaving about a 1/2 inch on the top. And then we're going to take our glue and we are just going to glue that back to itself. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and build his feet. I'm taking these corks. I'm just going to shaving them off on the bottom so they will go into the shoes because once you get this fabric put into these, it's a little bit tough. We're going to take our dowel rod. We're going to cut it into 3-inch strips. And then again, we are going to sharpen the 2 ends. We're going to take the blunt end and put it through down to the part that is shaved on both of those. Just push it all the way down to the bottom. Okay, then we're going to take a piece of our fabric and make sure your furry sides are facing the same way. We're going to take our shoes and put a little bit of weighted beads in them. Just pay attention to the fur part of your body so that you make sure it all is the same. We're going to take some tape and tape those up. And then trim any excess off. Just make sure that's taped up real good so none of those beads come out. And do the same thing for the other shoe. Okay, then we're going to take our fabric and we are just going to literally glue this into it and pull it up around. We're not going to do any kind of gluing to the fabric itself. Once you get it all pulled up nicely all the way around, you'll see that it does look good. And we're going to tuck it into that shoe. And once you get all that trimmed off on the top, before you put your glue in there, make sure that that cork goes in there, because you may have to trim it a little bit more. I had to come back a little bit more and trim a little bit extra. So just keep pulling it, stretching it up there till you get it flush. And with this fleece, it stretches on up there good. Hold your fingers together over the top and then trim off the top part. And then we're going to tuck it inside, but make sure you test it first. Tuck it inside, and then you're going to glue it together in there. And then we're going to put our cork in there. And you're going to have to push it, but it'll go in there. Okay, then after we do that, we're going to go ahead and put it to our body. Just make sure that they're level on the ground, on the table, and stick it in there. And this is where you can, if you had any kind of unevenness, you can make up for it here. So just make sure you have it on your table and then push it in there. And then we're going to take these parts here just to make some, cover up the corks. You're going to fold up one side, glue it together. And then we're going to take both sides and glue them towards the middle. They're not going to be overlapping. We're just going to glue them straight to the middle so they will meet. And then we're going to wrap it around that cork, and we are going to finish it off with our seam in the back. Now I did have to trim it off a little bit, but I wasn't sure how thick I wanted the legs to be, and you could use the whole piece if you want to. Just make sure that you end with your seam in the back. And then do the same thing for the other leg. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make his clothes. We're just going to put like a little sweater on him. I'm just taking some fleece and I'm folding it in half. And I'm glued the two sides together. Well, that's a short side. Now his little shirt is 4.5 by 11.5, and we are folding it over on the 4-inch side. Then we're going to fold it up an inch. And we're going to glue that down because we're going to put another 1/2 inch cuff on the front once we turn it right side out. So fold it up 1 inch and then glue that in. And then we're going to take the other side and we are going to fold it down 1/2 inch and glue it down as well. And that's going to be like his collar area. Actually, that was more like 3/4 inch. Okay, then we're going to turn it right side out. And we are going to put it over the top of his head. And then I'm taking a string to put around his neck, and then we're going to remove the string after we're done doing the cuff on the bottom, but it keeps it in place while you're doing it so it doesn't move, and it makes sure that once you get done putting that cuff on the bottom, it is straight on the body. So just take that string, wrap it around his neck, tie it off, and that's just a placehold for temporary. We are going to cut that off. Just make sure you get your shirt exactly where you want it. And then tie that off. And then we are going to cuff up the front lower edge 1/2 inch, and we are going to glue that down. Just go all the way around and glue that in. Okay, next we're going to take a piece of fleece, and there are two ways you can cut this fleece. You need to make sure that when you cut the fleece for the next step that it is on the stretchy side, because one side of the fleece stretches, the other side will not. And we are going to need this piece to stretch. Okay, for the scarf, you see that piece stretches, that piece didn't. So you need to make sure when you cut it on the stretchy side. And that's going to be 1.5 inches by 24 inches. And we are going to use that for his scarf, and we're going to use the other half for his hat. Just put glue right down the middle, and you can just, really, if you just stretch it, it'll glue it together. Just to get that glued all the way down to kind of finish it out, so that when we put the scarf on, it has a nice edge. It has no seam on the front part. Okay, just going to go wrap that around, figure out how long you want it. You got plenty to play with. And then just trim off the excess. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Be sure and remove that string that we put there temporarily, and we're going to go ahead and put glue inside the collar area and just push it in, glue it in there. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and put our scarf back on, and then again I'm going to trim it a little bit more, and we're going to put little pom-pom balls on the ends of them. Make sure you get it where you want it before you cut it. Then we're going to just go ahead and attach, we're going to put a little bit of glue in the ends and kind of squeeze them together, closing them up, and then put a little pom-pom ball on each one. Okay, for our hat, we're going to take a piece of fleece. It's 12 inches by 7 inches. And I know that doesn't look like this in the picture because I did it first and I had to come back and fix it. So cut it at 12 by 7, and then we are going to fold it over and glue the, fold the 12-inch side. While that dries, we're going to go ahead and take an X-Acto and poke some holes in here. And I'm just using the little stuffed animal eyes and noses, and I'm just pushing those in there, and I think those are about 3/8 of an inch button. You can just use a regular button if you want to. So we're going to take our hat, we are going to fold it up, the cuff at 1.5 inches, and we're going to glue that down. Okay, turn that right side out. We're going to go ahead and make a cuff that's 1/2 inch and cuff that up all the way around 1/2 inch. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and put it on his head, and we're going to move to the next step. We're going to cut our beard at 2 inches by 2 inches, and I'm just going to take a pin and make a U around there, and that's what you're going to cut out. Just cut behind the faux fur only, not through the faux fur. And then go ahead and take a comb and comb the rest of that off of there. Clean it up. Then I'm going to take 2 little 1/2 inch balls and 2 pieces of wire, and I'm going to roll those balls into the shape of a carrot for his nose. And I'm doing 2 of them because he has a little friend, and I'm going to show you how I finished him out as well. Just make sure you get it like you want it. Put that little metal rod in there, because that's how we're going to attach it to its body, and then bake it at 250 degrees for 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do his arms. His arms are going to be 2 inches wide by 2.5 inches in length. We are going to hem up the side, and then we're going to take a pipe cleaner, fold it in half, and then we're going to fold that in half. And then we're going to hang it off the edge a little bit, because that's where we're going to put his mittens. Just glue that down. And then we're going to take a stick that's about 1.5 inches, and we're going to glue it in as well. Not a stick, but a piece of wire. And that's what's going to attach it to our body. Just roll all that up there together and then glue that down. Finish it off with a nice seam right there. And then for the mittens, we're just going to glue these 2 pieces together. And I have the pattern in the description for you on that. Glue those together, let them dry really good, and then we're going to take our pliers and we're going to turn them right side out. And just kind of open them up a little bit. Then we're going to put our hand down in there, put a little bit of glue inside there, and glue that down. And then I came back with some baker's twine and just tied it off. Kind of tied it tight, and then put a bow on it. And then do exactly the same thing for the other arm. Okay, and then go ahead and take the end of it where the wire is, and we're going to bend those over so that we can put those into the body. And just pull your body forward and just see exactly where you want to put them. I just put them probably just a little bit below where the scarf is on both sides. Go ahead and add glue so that that wire stays in there really well, and that completely closes that up, because that will be flush with his body. Okay, then just take your X-Acto knife. Make sure that your seam is facing the body. Take your X-Acto knife. We're going to cut a hole in the side, or just poke a hole in there, and then poke that wire in there. And then do the same thing for the other side. When you figure out exactly where you want them, put a little bit of glue around there, a glue in the hole, and put that arm back in there. And I just pulled my arms forward. You can put them however you want to. All right, next we're going to go ahead and attach his beard, and I am just coming down about 2 inches from the top edge, and I'm just going to glue that down. And then just tilt him back a little bit and add a little bit of glue to the bottom part as well. About 2 inches from the top. Okay, next we're going to put his hat on his head. Get it exactly where you want it. I pulled mine a little bit down, farther down in the back, almost right to his little sweater, and then just take a rubber band and gather all that top part up, and then just tie that off with a string as well. What we're going to do is we're going to take the excess string from the from the scarf, and we're going to attach it around there. And just cut it off wherever you want to, and then we're going to add a little pom-pom to the ends here as well. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to attach his nose, and we're going to attach some eyes. So just poke a hole in there, and make sure that your X-Acto knife is facing upward when you poke that hole, so that you don't cut the fur on both sides of it. Just cut that hole in there, stick that nose in there, and then the same thing with the eyes. Just make sure your X-Acto knife is facing up, or you will cut your beard. And again, those are this. I'll give you the link to those in the description below. You get a lot of those in a box, and you can use them for a lot of different things. Okay, then just go ahead and glue a little bit of glue on his nose. Now his little friend, I did the same thing, and then I just cut a little sliver of a half smile, and I'm gluing that on, and then I'm going to add a little piece to the end of it so it looks like he's smiling. All right, pretty easy. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I have another video, hit the bell. Thank you so much for watching.